All right, welcome. We're going to go through a pipeline review of Quail and Sage and how to do the quick preview kind of feature set. So we're going to start with going to Zachary Quail and hitting releases. This will only work in version 1.5.9 or newer. Download the Quail executable for your OS.exe for Windows. Hit save and put it into a path that you know will be in your environment path. In my case, I have an E drive bin directory, and I can go ahead and replace it here. And you're going to probably want to go into your environment variables. And I don't know why that closed. Thanks, Windows. And then if you go into environment variables, you'll have a path directory. And inside of path, you have E drive bin. That's the path that I just saved the file to. So in your case, you might want to add a custom directory. You can put it into an existing, whatever you prefer. This is the recommended route because now when I go to like command prompt and I type Quail, it just works. You can verify the version on just running Quail. And this just essentially sets it up. So now it's a global path. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and go to the THJ directory, and we can just open this up in Explorer. And I have mimcar. I'm going to go ahead and delete. And we're going to run a convert real quick here for mimcar just as a test. So per usual, Quail, you run the convert command targeting a PFS file, S3D or EQG, and then you spit it out as a Quail file. And as you know, that will create a subfolder of the name, which is on the bottom, and business as usual. If you open this up in Visual Studio Code, in my case, I just run the code command, but however you want to, okay. Excuse me. You're going to see all of your different files in here. Apparently WorldDef is not doing syntax highlighting. Anyways, if you go into extensions and you search for WCE, you're going to see the WCE syntax support. I recommend at least version 0.04. This thing auto updates by default, and just keep it up to date. I really doubt there'll be negatives per se. But the latest version of Quail now actually sets up a VSCode settings with the intent that if you open the Quail folder as a workspace folder, it'll load these. And you'll notice there's a little comment in here that basically goes over the direction of what we just did, which is make sure to have Quail set in some way. I do expose a config option here that you can uncomment and set so that, for example, if you want this to be frozen at a specific version of Quail, you could do so and just have it where this local workspace has it. You can also expose this to a user path by going into, user settings, JSON, and then just adding in the WCE Quail path here. And that would be across all of VS Code if you just don't want it in your path for whatever reason. There's 3 tiers of it. By default, convert on save is enabled, as well as the target path. It's set to just temp.s3d. This is usually just a safe field to have it set to because it's always going to just go into the directory. So like if we go into any file and hit save, on the bottom right, you'll notice you get a notification currently. I might disable that, but it just tells you the command it ran, and then you'll see that temp.s3d just got generated in the Quail directory. Simple as that. And every time a file gets edited, it does it again. And yeah. So now we have the ability, whenever a file gets touched, it will regenerate. I believe, I haven't tested this too much, but if an external file or program edits something, so we're going to run like Notepad and do mim, and then let's say I edit this and hit save. I'm going to close that out first. Yeah, it didn't save. Okay, so the file watcher isn't there. There's a chance it'll work with mim open. Let's see. Yes, it does. So if the document is open and you go into Blender and you, edit it and regenerate this WCE file, the moment you hit save, this regenerates. So like you can treat this notepad as if I'm running, Blender, and I just exported it. Nevertheless, so these files are now being watched. I believe it's the same with this directory. Let's check. If I do an edit, yeah. So anything that gets touched in assets causes it to now just auto regenerate the S3D. So this is kind of like the live update. If you don't like any of these settings, you can just flag this to false. And at that point, this no longer does it. You can see we have syntax highlighting. We also have hover tooltips now. These are all set with a YAML file. It definitely needs a lot of improvements. There's also error checking. In this case, though, I likely just don't have my definition properly. Like, actually, it looks like when the vertex colors is 0, I don't properly recognize that means the next property should not be. So that's just a bug. I'll have it fixed, soon enough. And that'll also clean up a lot of these other, looks like DM face is a pattern I don't properly match as well. But, it's new. Anyways, so let's get on to the second step. There is a standalone copy of Sage, but right now it doesn't quite work fully for this workflow. There's a couple fixes that need to happen. So we're going to go ahead and start up Chrome and go to the Sage workspace. I know there's another page for it, but whatever. This is, the Spire version. They both go to the same place. So if you go to Quail workspace, I believe I have everything already set, but I'll make sure to rerun it. So if you go to watch s3d/EQG and go to the path where the temp file is getting generated, this file now is going to be watching for S3D edits. So in theory, you can like split your screen. We're going to have like a little preview window here. We're going to come over to this and we're going to split it to another side and kind of just create this, pseudo live edit window. And if now we go in and we do some edits, I don't know of a good one, but just for fun, let's reduce the number of vertices and then take out the first row and hit save. And did it work? Don't know if it did. Actually, I don't know why it didn't. That should have triggered it. But since it didn't, let's go ahead and run a Quail convert. You can actually run it manually. So you can see that the very moment that it generated, it updated on the right side and made it broken. Oh, it's because we turned off convert on save. That makes sense. So now if we reduce this to 7, remove a row, hit save, you get an auto refresh on the right of the change. And then if I restore it, it immediately goes back. But yeah, I definitely am probably going to take out the notification and, notify it in a different way or something. But if we add in a new row for fun, which means the count's going to be wrong, this actually fails the right, which it doesn't quite relay that yet. But there. Now we added a new row and you can see all the geometry errors. But the point is, if you're using Blender and you edit a WCE document, you can see live previews of, this changing things. That's it. Pretty straightforward, I think. You can set up an animation and then like pause it. And even when things get edited, it'll just reload and, it used to retain all that data. I don't know if he accidentally messed that up, nervous or tempo. Yeah, you can see it's resetting the location and animation, but hopefully eventually we'll be able to, do live edits and clean up things on the fly. Looks like track instance has an issue after legacy. Yeah, it's the number. If there's no entries, it causes track definition errors, and it just lingers. Anyways, very early. Try it out. Pretty much download Quail, use this extension, and look out for new updates and enjoy.